Hi, Verbling. My name is Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're talking about conditionals. We'll be going over lots of information about conjugation and when we use conditionals. If you guys have any questions or comments on this class or would like to suggest topics for future material, let me know on Facebook, and I'll put my Facebook name in the chat box for you. Salvatore, welcome.
Hi, Michaela. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine.
Excellent. It's been a while since I've seen you. What have you been up to? Very busy?
No, in the last time I went to holiday. I went to Romania for my holiday, teacher.
Excellent. That's
I
exciting.
visited.
Did you have a great time?
Yes, I visited Transylvania, where I saw many castle, and I visited the castle where Dracula lived. I visited the house where Dracula was born, and then I went to Bucharest.
Wow, that's an interesting trip. That's really
Yes,
cool.
and I saw that in Romania, many people, Romania, uh, can speak Italian because they said me that they like to speak Italian because Romanian is a Latin language, and for Romania is easier to learn Italian.
Very cool. I've heard Romanian is a Latin language, but I don't really know what it sounds like. There's lots of, I know like Italian, I've heard, there's Portuguese, Spanish, French, but Romanian, I don't really know what it sounds like. Does it sound strange?
Yes, it's strange, but many words are similar Italian. But if Romania speak with me in Romania, I don't understand nothing, teacher.
All right, so it's close, but not that close. All right, interesting.
If I read in the newspaper or in the book the writer Romania, I can understand a little bit some words.
Very cool. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for sharing, Salvatore.
Thank you, Michaela.
Roxana, welcome to class.
Hi, hello. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Good to have you back, Roxana. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
Excellent. And Alessia, welcome to class.
Thank you. Hi, Michaela. Hi, guys.
Good to have you here. How are you, Alessia? Having a good week so far?
Yeah, so. I had sick.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
Is it the winter season coming on? Is that why?
Yes, I think I had like a different degree, and so I was chilled, could be.
Yes, chilled, yeah.
Chilled.
Totally. That's terrible, but that seasonal sickness does occur sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we're talking about conditionals, and we're going to start with the document that I put in the chat box for you guys. This one starts with 0 conditionals. So we have 4 conditional sets, but we're going to start with something called the 0 conditional and then work our way up till 3. So we count up 0, 1, 2, 3. We're going to start with 0 and talk about the other 3 later. They're more complex. So open that document up and I will screen share for anyone who needs. If my screen share wants to work. All right, it seems like my screen share doesn't want to work. But we'll find a way. Okay, we will persevere. So, the zero conditional. Let's talk a little bit about what the zero conditional is. Alessia, go ahead and read the blue and the examples for us down here.
Okay. Zero conditional, where we talk about that are generally or always true. We can use if, when, unless, plus a present form, plus present simple or imperative. Example, if he gets there before me, ask him to wait. When you fly budget airline, you have to pay for your drinks and snacks. Unless you need more space, a small car is big enough for one person.
Thank you very much. So the zero conditional is not actually very conditional in a real sense because it's something that's generally true, right? Let's read a little bit more about it down here. Roxanne, can you read this blue for us and the first two examples?
Note that we are not talking about a specific event, but something which is generally true. In the conditional clause, we can use a variety of present forms. In the result clause, there can only be the present simple or imperative. If you visit London, go on the London Eye. If and while unemployment is rising, people tend to stay in their present jobs.
Thank you very much. And Salvatore, will you read the other examples here, these last four?
Yes. If you done that, go and have a coffee. When you go on holiday, take plenty of sun cream. It'll be very hot. When I'm concentrating, please don't make so much noise. When I finish an article, I always ask Kate to read it through.
Excellent, thank you. A quick note, unless means the same as if not. So, let's find where it says unless. This one we have unless you need more space, a small car is big enough for one person. So what they're actually saying is if you don't need more space, then a small car is big enough. So you can think of unless being the same as if plus don't, or if plus the negative. Any questions so far on what zero conditional is or how we form it?
No, it's clear.
Okay, great. Then we have some more unless examples here. Unless he asks you politely, refuse to do any more work on the project. Unless price tags are rising, it's not a good investment. Unless you've been there yourself, you don't really understand how fantastic it is. All right, you guys are going to have some opportunity to make them. So, what is generally true about the weather in the city you live in? One example we have here is when you go to the beach, take plenty of sun cream. It'll be very hot. I want you guys to create a sentence and put it in the chat box talking about the weather in the city you live in. So make sure you have one part of the sentence using if, when, or unless, and then the other part using the simple present or the imperative form. So in this case that we have here, it's imperative. Take plenty of sunscreen. It's an order. You guys can have a couple minutes to write your sentences, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Put them in the chat box when you're ready. Awesome. Alessia, read us your sentence.
Yep. If you live in Rome, you have a lot of sunny days.
Nice. General truth. Thanks, Alessia. Roxana, read us yours.
And then you go out in St. Petersburg, take an umbrella.
Perfect. Thanks, Roxana. Tatitulin, welcome to class. Tatitulin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, welcome to class. Good to have you with us.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Awesome. So, do you have the notes open for zero conditional?
A zero conditional.
Yeah, there's a link in the chat box, and I'll re-put it in just so you can see it. And that's for the zero
I can't
conditional.
see the link. Now I see.
There you go. So open that up. And in the meantime, Alessia, can you explain to her a little bit about what we read about the zero conditional?
Yes. I try. Well, the form if, when, or unless before in the sentences are the words that anticipate the zero conditional, and in the zero conditional you use only the imperative or the simple present form.
Mm-hmm.
And unless is like a contract form to explain if you don't.
Mm-hmm. Excellent start. Roxana, would you like to add any information to what Alessia just was explaining about the zero conditional?
Only about zero conditional one? Zero conditional.
Yeah, right now we're just talking about the zero.
It's always used with some general statements in the maybe scientific statements or
Sure.
or usual everyday statements.
Totally true. We have some examples already in the chat box if you want to look at them, and plenty of examples on that document as well. So we use a word like unless, when, or if. So you can say, when you go out, take an umbrella. We have two parts. When this happens, do something else. Or if this happens, this needs to happen. So we have two phrases, kind of like a cause and effect sort of thing. And Rafa, welcome to class.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
No problem. Go ahead and open the notes if you haven't already. We're talking about the zero conditional to start out with today. This is our simplest form of conditional. And you guys can go ahead and review those notes. We're going to move on to the second one. And I'll screen share for you guys so you can see where we are. So we're going to talk about this second question here. What is always true about transportation in your country? We use zero conditional to talk about things that are generally true, always true, and we're going to use that zero conditional to talk about transportation. So our example here is when you fly budget airline, you have to pay for your drinks and snacks. Now, I'd like to know what is generally true about transportation in your country. So everyone try to come up with an example sentence talking about something generally true about transportation. And make sure you're using a word like when, if, or unless. And of course, if you guys have any questions while you're writing, you're welcome to ask. Excellent. Salvatore, read us yours. Ooh, we have two from you now.
You go to the mountain for trekking, take strong shoes. When you take tube in Milan, you have to patience for delayed.
All right. When you say the tube, you mean what? Like the metro?
Metro, yes.
Okay. Interesting. Why do you call it the tube?
Right.
Yeah.
Because when I visited London, they call the tube metro.
Yes, that's true. Sorry. I guess that's a
No
British
problem.
English thing.
Is
All
right,
right. Great
teacher?
sentences. Yeah. You can call it the tube if you want, although make sure you use an article. So when you take the tube in Milan, you have to have patience for the delay. Have to have patience.
Have, okay. Okay.
Excellent. Great sentences, Salvatore. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Next up, Tatitulin. Will you read yours?
Yeah, okay. If you visit Turkey, go to Topkapı Palace.
Wow. What's Topkapı Palace?
Yes, Topkapı Palace. It's very famous palace where imperators live. It's very popular in Ottoman period.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Tatitulin. Rafa, read us your sentence.
I'm sorry. There is a harem there. Harem.
A harem.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
where Sultan lives with some wives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Exotic. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. It's a very famous palace.
Interesting tradition. I'll have to keep that in my mind next time I'm in Turkey.
Oh, visit. It's very popular place.
I have always wanted to visit Turkey. I mean, I have so many places that I want to go, but Turkey is high up on my list of places I'd like to go in the near future. Thanks, Tatitulin. Rafa, go ahead. Read us your sentence.
Unless you have a monthly ticket transportation, every time you get the bus, you will have to pay for it.
Excellent sentence. I love it. Just switch transportation and ticket. So it should read, unless you have a monthly transportation ticket, every time you get the bus, you will have to pay. It's a great idea, but also kick that will out of there. Because in this zero conditional, we don't use will yet. It's something that's generally true. So we're not talking about a future event, but something that's true all the time.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Rafa. Roxana, read us your sentence.
You spend a lot of time in traffic jam. You find out yourself on the road in 6 p.m.
Okay. Awesome sentence. But instead of saying find out would be like discover. So what you want to say is find yourself. No need for a phrasal verb here. You can say if you find yourself on the road at 6.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's true. I hate traffic.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Terrible stuff. Thanks, Roxana. And Alessia, read us yours.
When you visit Italy, sure you're waiting for a bus. They are always late. And I saw the Topkapi Palace.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what was your experience? Was it like really, really cool? What was your favorite thing?
Yeah, it was a fantastic trip. I spent maybe 14 days around Turkey. I visited Istanbul, Cappadocia, and a part of closed Antalya, and this is wonderful. Wonderful
Pamukkale.
holiday. Yep.
Pamukkale.
No, Pamukkale I don't visit because I came in August, and some people said me that maybe they are closed in that period. I don't know why.
Ah.
Okay.
Too bad. All right. So I think we have the hang of this zero conditional thing. Do you guys have any other questions on zero conditional before we move on to the other conditional phrases we're going to talk about? Okay. Then I'm going to show you guys something really quick. On this zero conditional page, we have the answers to the next document. So here we talk about the zero conditional, and then on the bottom of this page, we have possible answers for some exercises we're going to go over on the next document. I'm showing that you guys this now so that you don't close this page because you might want to review that later or after class. So I'm just letting you guys know that it's there for you to use. Okay, and I wish I could get my screen share working right now, but it seems like it's not. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to stick the other document into the chat box for you. And this one is going to talk about the other conditionals, which are type 1, 2, and 3. They're a little bit harder, but we have a lot more notes here, so they should be easier to follow. All right, let's get going. So let's talk a little bit about conditionals, starting with Salvatore. Can you read these 2 bullet points for us here?
Yes. Conditional sentences consist of 2 parts. They depend, subordinate if clause, and the main with clause. Type 1, they depend if clause usually indicates a real or possible situation that can happen in the present or in the future. And the main will clause express the result of condition. Conditional sentence type 1 is often called the real conditional because it used for real or possible situations. These situations take place if a certain condition is met.
Thank you very much. And the rest on type 2 and type 3. Tatitulin, can you read this part?
Okay. Type 2, the dependent if. Oh, where is. I'm sorry, I can't see. Ah, now I see. Type 2, the dependent if indicates a situation that is possible but very unlikely to occur. And the main will clause expresses the result of the condition. Note, in if clauses type 2, we usually use were, even if the pronoun is I, he, she, or it. Example, if I were you, I would not do this. Type 3, this refers to situation in the past. An action could have happened in the past if a certain condition had been fulfilled. Things were different then, however, we just imagine what would have happened if the situation had been fulfilled.
Thank you very much. So those are brief descriptions of type 1, 2, and 3. And this note here, you can also use was in this position. If I was you, I would not do this. But it sounds less formal. It kind of sounds very casual. So if you want to keep it formal and professional sounding, were is the best word to use. But both are possible. No big deal if you use was. Okay, so to review all of that, we have a couple little charts down here. Type number 1, the condition is possible to fulfill. We're talking about a future event, and it's still a possibility. Type number 2, the condition in theory is possible to fulfill, but it's very, very unlikely. So this one's probably not going to happen. And type 3 is a condition that's not possible to fulfill because it's already over, it's finished. So you can see that in the number we have a progression. Type 0 is something that is always true, something generally true. Then something possible. Type number 2 is something possible but not likely. And type number 3 is something that's totally impossible and already finished. Any questions so far on these descriptions before we go further in? All right, great. So, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Michaela, I have one. In any case, if, when, in the type 1, 2, or 3, or not?
No, in these conditionals, we really only use if, because in the other one, when we're talking about something that's generally true, you can say when this happens, then something else happens. But because these ones are not always true, we really don't use those. We only... Go ahead, what?
إلقاء كذا سوي موضوع إلقاء
أيوه
وأخذت فيه 76.
Hold on a sec. Ahmed?
الحمد لله.
Ahmed, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you, teacher.
Okay, we can hear you too. Make sure to keep yourself muted while we're reading the notes, just so we don't have too much background noise. But welcome to class. We're happy to have you here with us.
Okay, thank you very much, teacher.
All right. So, if is pretty much the only word in most situations that we can use with these 1, 2, and 3 type, which is why we call this one the if clause. We have the if clause and the main clause. Does that answer your question? All right, I hope it does. Any other questions before we go on and talk about tense a little bit?
No.
Okay, great. So we have a pretty simple breakdown, and I color-coded all these. So anytime you see a red phrase, you know it's going to be the simple present if clause, and if you see yellow, it's going to be the main clause, will plus future. So that's color-coded for you down below. The type 1 uses simple present, will plus future, or modal and infinitive. So a modal would be something like can or might. Number 2, simple past, would plus infinitive. And this little asterisk is here because sometimes you can replace the word would with another word like could, should, might, may, more modals. And type number 3, past perfect, and would plus have plus past participle. And again, you see this asterisk because you can occasionally change out would for another word. And we have a big list of those words down below. We'll talk more about that in a second. Any questions on these tenses before we go on?
No.
Okay. We're going to see plenty of examples. And here are some color-coded examples of all of the expressions we just saw. Alessia, will you read these for us?
Yeah. Type 1 may close. I will pass the exam. If closed, if I study, obviously. 2, I would pass the exam if I studied. 3, I would have passed the exam if I had studied.
Thanks. So here you can see that the first one is likely. You say, if I study, I will pass the exam, so that's true and a likelihood for the future. It's possible. Number 2, you can already see that I don't intend to study. So I say, if I studied, I would pass the exam, but I'm telling you that I'm not going to study. So it's very unlikely that I'm going to pass the exam because I'm saying, if I studied, I would pass the exam, but that's probably not going to happen. And then type number 3, of course, it's already over. It's in the past, so there's no way. I already failed the exam, but I'm saying if things had been different and I had studied, then I would have passed the exam. All right. Now we have a bunch of examples that we're not going to read, but they're there for you. They give you the positive form, the negative form, the contracted forms of each type. Any questions on these? No? I know this is complex. Don't be shy about questions. Okay, so here's our list of words we can substitute. Could, might, would, should, may, must are also sometimes possible. And I encourage you guys to try this out today. Maybe use a couple of these words. If you're not totally sure you're comfortable with them, this is a safe space. If you make a mistake, I'll tell you you made a mistake, and then I'll tell you why, and we'll all learn a little bit, because lots of people have these questions that they just don't ask, or maybe onlookers who don't get to be in class right now might have some questions answered. So definitely use those words. Are we all ready for practice?
Yes. Okay.
All right. So we have some fill in the blanks here where you guys have to conjugate verbs and put them in the blank. The difficult part is you have to create your own verbs, so you have to get a little creative and use the context of the sentence to help you come up with a verb that might work in that place. So for type number 1, just to review, we're going to be using the simple present in the if clause, will plus the future in the main clause. So not all of them start with the if clause. Just make sure you remember to check which one it is. Number 1, Roxana, go ahead and do number 1 for us. Roxana, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. If Carolyn and Sue cook the salad, Phil will be eaten in the house.
Okay, so if Caroline and Sue cook the salad, great. Phil, and then you said will be eaten in the house?
Yeah.
Okay. So the conjugation is good, but the strange part is that means that maybe they're eating Phil. So if you say will be eaten, it turns Phil into the object. So that's it's a good conjugation, but if we wanted to make it a little more logical, we might change it to something like, if Caroline and Sue cook the salad, Phil will eat in the house.
Okay, I see.
Okay, thanks. Number 2, Ahmed, will you try this one for us?
Yep, yes, teacher. If so, um, uh, had had cooked the onion for the salad, had put the onions had put the onions for the salad, Carolina would have eaten the mushroom.
Okay, so that's a good type 3 conditional, But right now we're making type 1 conditionals. So you conjugated really well. But you made it a little more complex than it needs to be because right now we're using the simple present and will plus future. So try that again using type 1 simple present and will plus future.
Okay. If Sue put the onions for the salad, Carolina will eat the mushrooms.
All right, good. So you said put and will eat, right? The
Yep,
conjugation
absolutely.
was great. I would say put doesn't make very much sense for this context, but the conjugation was good. So you could change that to chop, cut, buy, any of those words would work. All right. Number 3, Rafa, will you do number 3 for us?
Yeah. Jane sit blank the sitting room if Aaron and Tim fix the furniture. Jane clean the sitting room if Aaron and Tim will polish the furniture.
Awesome verbs, but you switched the conjugation because in this sentence we don't start with the if clause, we start with the main clause. So switch those around for us.
Jane will clean the sitting room if Aaron and Tim polished the furniture.
Perfect. Great job. All right. Alessia, try number 4.
Yeah. If Bob clean up the kitchen, Anita will clean up the toilet.
Excellent. Thanks. And number 5, Salvatore.
Elaine orders the drinks if somebody will help her carry the bottles.
Great verbs, but this one is like number 3 where the phrases are reversed. The if phrase is the second one. So you have to switch the conjugation around a little. Meaning will is going to come in the first part of the sentence here.
Okay. Elaine will order the drinks if somebody help her carry the bottles.
Excellent. Great job. Okay. Number 2.
Okay.
Starting with Tatitulin, and just as a review, type number 2, we're going to be using the simple past and would plus infinitive, or one of our other modal words here. Go ahead and start.
Okay. All my friends, if I a house by the beach. I would invite all my friends if I had a house by the beach.
Excellent. Great job. So we had it switched around. This if clause comes second, and you did an awesome job of conjugating that, and you created wonderful, appropriate verbs for that sentence. Thank you, Tatitulin. Next up, Ahmed. Try number 2 for us.
Okay. Yep. I would invite my friends up in my yacht if they uh, if they uh, wanted to the island.
Great. Excellent job. So I would invite my friends up if they wanted to spend their holidays. Awesome. Number 3, Alessia.
Yes. No. Okay. I lost the page. We could organize great party if my friends came to visit my island.
Excellent. Great. And you branched out a little bit and used could, and it worked out really well. Could is a little more like possibility, when would is more like desire. So in this context, you subtly changed it and it worked well. Thanks.
Okay.
Number 4, Rafa.
If we plan to go shopping in a big city, if we tried to go shopping in a big city, we will get a helicopter.
Okay, so if we tried to go shopping in a big city, and then what did you say?
We need to get a helicopter.
Sure, but we need a modal verb, so either would, could, or one of the other ones.
Yeah. We could get a helicopter.
Sure. Well done. We could get a helicopter. Okay. Number 5, Roxana. Try it out for us.
But if my friends' holidays came over, I would feel very lonely on my lonely island.
Excellent conjugation, but came isn't a very appropriate verb for holidays being over. We probably would use the verb to be, so that would become were over.
But if my friends' holidays were over, I would feel very lonely.
Excellent. Wonderful job. Thanks, Roxana. All right. Type number 3, which is the hardest for several reasons. The first is that the conjugation is more complex. We're using the past perfect plus would, have, and the past participle. So it's a lot more complex in conjugation, but also because in this paragraph here, we're talking about sports. So before we do this paragraph, let's come up with some verbs that we might use in sports. If you're describing a soccer game, what verbs would you use?
Throw.
Throw, okay.
Throw the ball.
Uh-huh. Great. What else?
Score.
Yeah,
Throw the
throw,
ball.
score. No soccer fans in here?
Eat.
What are their verbs?
No.
Chance, for example.
Huh?
Chance.
Chance?
Chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work in some situations. Anything else? I would say like block and defend might also be good. So we talked about score, one in the beginning that I'm missing, block, defend,
Kick.
throw, kick, yes. These are all good verbs. So keep those in mind as we're going through. Number 1, Salvatore. It's up to you to do number 1. Are you ready?
Yes, I tried. If the midfielders had blocked the ball more exactly, our team would have more chances to attack.
Awesome job, but you're missing one small word. It should be would have had.
Would have had more
Exactly.
chances to attack.
Awesome. Thanks, Salvatore. Good start.
Thank you, Michaela.
All right. Tatitulin, try number 2 out for us.
Okay. If the forwards faster, they more goals. If the forwards had run faster, they would have scored more goals.
Awesome. Very nice. Thanks, Tatitulin. Number 3, Ahmed.
Yeah. Their motivation, would have decreased, decreased if they had failed, if they had failed a goal during the first half.
Awesome. It sounds great. What was the verb you used for the second blank there? Would have
Failed.
felled? How do you spell
Yes.
that? That's not a verb I'm familiar
Maybe
with.
it
What do
is
you mean?
this. Sorry.
So from fall to fell? Failed. Failed.
Yeah, so
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. Perfect. Thank you very much, Ahmed.
Okay.
All right. Next up, Alessia.
Okay. Before a little query, the fullbacks are the player.
Yes. Yes. Fullbacks are a football, an American football position.
I really don't have an idea about this sentence. The fullbacks. Hmm. Mm, could you suggest me the verb? Not
Of course.
the form.
Yeah, sure. So here, since we're talking about goals, score might be a good verb to use in the first blank.
Score.
Mhm.
The fullbacks. Give me a second. The fullback would have scored one, or the other goal if they had fight. I don't have idea about this sentence.
Okay, if they had fought, you said?
Fight.
Fight is present tense, so we'll have to change that to the participle.
In the past, it's irregular verbs or not?
Yeah, it is irregular.
If fought.
Yes.
Oh,
Excellent.
It's like a lottery.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a tough one, but you did great. So the fullbacks would have scored one or the other goal if they had fought their opponents. Right?
Okay.
Okay, thanks very much. And Rafa, finish this up for us. Do number 5.
If the goalie up, he if the goalie was more clever, no, the goalie could be a stand up. He would have catched the ball.
Okay, so read the whole sentence again in the correct conjugation. The verb is good for the first blank, but what are you going to do to conjugate it?
If the goalie has stand up, he would have caught the ball.
Excellent. And in the first one, we should change it to had. But other than that, it was great. So if the goalie had, can't talk anymore. Okay. If the goalie had stood up, he would have touched the ball. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions on these or the three types of conditionals we've been talking about? If you go back and you're trying to study these or you don't remember which verbs we put in, you can look at the other document, the one I sent you guys at the beginning of class, that contains some suggested possible answers. Of course, there's more than one answer for most of these, but they give you good examples, so you can move with those. All right, since we have a few more minutes, let's answer a couple questions that are in the conditional. If you could go visit a famous person, who would it be? Question number 1. So think hard. If you could go visit a famous person, who would it be? I'm going to start with Tati Tulin. What famous person would you go visit?
I will visit Johnny Depp.
Ooh, nice choice.
Yeah.
Where does he live?
Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe in America.
I know he's from the US, but I think he lives in like France or something.
Ah, really? In Europe? Ah, it's interesting.
He's a crazy guy.
Michaela?
If I were a detective, I will find out.
Yes.
But in this
Thanks.
case, it's not the second type of conditional?
You mean what are you talking about? How we need to answer?
Because the condition is possible only in theory, or not?
Yeah. So this one is in theory. I mean, if you want to be like really optimistic, you might be able to use condition type number 1. But yeah, number 2 is probably the best condition type to use.
Okay.
All right. Salvatore, give us a good conditional sentence answering the question, who you would go visit.
I will visit Pope Francesco.
Who?
Pope Francesco.
Francesco.
Pope.
Pop Francesco? Oh, Pope. Okay.
Pope.
So you would visit the Pope?
Yes.
Good answer.
I would like to visit the Pope.
He would be a very cool guy to have a conversation with. All right. Rafa, who would you go visit?
If I had money, I would like visit to Maradona in Argentina.
Wow, cool. Play a soccer game with him?
No.
No?
I don't like.
Just talk. All right. Alessia, who would you go visit?
I have an example that mix up the second and the third conditional, because
try it.
I don't have a clear idea. For example, if I want visit or meet someone that is died, for example, Leonardo da Vinci. It's in theory, and it's not possible to feel it, to fulfill. It's too late. How can I choose the right condition?
So if it's something that's not possible because it's already in the past or like finished, there's no way to do it, then
Okay.
type number 3 is the best bet.
Okay. So I if Leonardo had alive, I would have spent my time with him.
Excellent sentence.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Alessia. And Ahmed, last one. Tell us who you would visit.
If I had a chance to visit somebody, if I had chance to visit somebody, I would have visited Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Sheikh.
A chef?
Abdulaziz al-Sheikh.
I don't know him.
He's the number one in Saudi Arabia, responsible for fatwa, which say
So
it
you
is
want a
prohibited or
nice
not
meal.
prohibited.
You want a good meal.
Yeah.
All right. So you would go
How
visit
about
a
you,
chef.
teacher?
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's really hard. I don't know. I feel like Nelson Mandela is dead, right? So he's
It's
right?
like Leonardo.
Yeah, right? So I'm trying to think. I mean, I would like to visit maybe Barack Obama if I could, but I feel like I should go international. You know, if I had the opportunity to visit a famous person, it should be international because that would give me another opportunity to travel. So Barack Obama doesn't really work for that because he's like very national for me. Maybe the Chancellor of Germany. Her name's like Angela. I don't know her last name. Yes, and Angela Merkel. She'd be kind of a cool person, very political and interesting. I guess. What are some other suggestions? I feel like I would want to visit a political person.
Dalai Lama, I suggest you.
Oh, the Dalai Lama. Oh, great idea. Yes.
Tibet,
Dalai Lama.
India.
Maybe Elizabeth. Maybe Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth? Yes. So, if I had had the opportunity, I would have visited Queen Elizabeth. But unfortunately, she's long gone. Okay. Well, any other questions or comments before we finish up?
No.
Okay. Thanks, guys. And if you have any questions, let me know on my Facebook. I have another class coming up right now talking about the verb get and a lot of the different ways we can use it. So I hope to see you guys again soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.